What are we noticing? What are we focusing on? And as solution-focused practitioners, we learn and continue to grow in picking up the exceptions, the easy to ignore, the easy to miss. That's what we do. And that's the sweetness of SF practice.
Hi everyone, my name is Heini Pataki. I am located in Budapest, Hungary, and it's my pleasure to co-host with Olayinka today. Olayinka leads Family Matters Plus in Bari, supporting workplaces with practical solution-focused early intervention approaches to crisis, conflict, and transitions. She focuses on support for small and mid-sized organizations.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good midnight, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome. With all of the possible solution-focused greetings I can send your way, you are just welcome into this room. Today we're talking about disruptions in workplaces and what stance we take when disruptions happen. The stance of capabilities or the stance of crisis. And what immediately comes to mind is just the knowledge or the understanding that disruption's real. And from a solution-focused stance, we're not denying the presence of disruption. We're just saying that while disruption is real, capability is also real. And just because disruption happens, capabilities don't just disappear into thin air. They're still present. And as SF's practitioners, we are usually the one who have, we're the ones holding both together without losing, a sense of purpose, even a sense of humor in the space. We are the ones who are saying, can both coexist? And where do we want to put our attention? So while we explore this together, let's find the balance here. Let's see what it means to hold both together. And I want to start us with something simple. So I invite you to, when you hear the word disruption, what comes to mind? Let's take on a slightly different lens. Wherever we are in a journey of SF, when we think from that SF lens and we hear disruption, what shows up?
We got some responses already. For example, from Jessica, it's shift. From Michael, something coming to a halt. Or the next one from Ella, not cooperating.
That's what comes up when you hear disruption, right?
Yes. Also from Vinay, it has just arrived. Breaking away from patterns. Rotation, regular pattern rupturing. From Wim, things change.
Okay. Now thank you for sharing all of that. Now let's take a little bit of a shift and move into the SF stance. When we're coming from the SF lens, what shows up?
I got some responses from Erica out of previously agreed order. Maybe it belongs to the previous already. From Angela, transition. Igul, capability. Kathleen, change. Igul, again, opportunity for growth. Matt, change. Erika, overcoming. Jessica, hope for change. Michael, something positive always remains no matter the situation. And Stephen, a new narrative. Angela, possibility. Vim, transition.
Wow.
Thank you. Tisha, experience. Jwin, understandings.
Give that a moment to notice the shift. When we're looking from just the everyday and we're taking a stance with SF. Notice the shift that happens in the words, in the language, and even in our body. That's the SF effect. Doesn't take much. It takes noticing. SF has a way of softening the edges without pretending that the edges are not there. Same thing, same disruption, like a whole lot of different things. Different way of viewing. We're not denying that disruption's there. What we're saying is we're widening that space or the frame within which we view it so that capability can help enter the room. Even if it's a tiny crack, like that's one line of gray, it's there. And it's through that the door starts to open widely. And the widening is what does the stabilizing. And stabilization is so much desired when disruptions happen in workplaces. Because things shift. I have a group of pre-prepared cluster of words that I want to share on the screen. Just look at this. When you look at this cluster of words, what does it tell you? What does it say about SF and where we choose to put our stance? What matches in the two columns?
We got a response from Erika, different energy and state.
Different energy for sure. Absolutely. Same situation. What surprises you? Whether in the words that you came up with or what you see on the screen?
Sense of different perspective from JP. It's a question. Matt, choosing where to explore from a particular word or situation.
The choice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, from Vinay, choice of where to focus our energies. From Ori, my body crinks when reading the first column and I open up / breathe better when reading the second column. That's right.
So I thank you. I'm not going to explain. The idea is just to bring you to a place of noticing what's going on for you. As you think those words, you write them down or you look at the columns. Where would you rather be in terms of disruption? Just notice. It's just a visual prompt to help us see the language shift. Check in with yourself. What's different? What remains? What do you even kind of struggle with in terms of the words that are landing in the different spaces? And as we keep on the process of noticing the shift in what's showing up for us in our body, in our head, let's move this on and make it more concrete.
For me, it is energy draining when I see the first column.
For sure. Yeah.
I think, Olayinka, I also have a question. This is Heisan. In the second column, we have this word steadiness. And I would love to know how that might show up, especially when we're looking at it with a solution focus. So steadiness, how does that show up?
That's a great question. Who is there? Somebody who has a response for that in terms of how you see steadiness show up when disruptions land? What does it mean?
Yeah, steadiness.
Yeah. Steadiness in the face of disruption.
I think that steadiness feels like the ability to make the next step and trust in your next step and just take that step. Again, that's all you need to focus on, all you need to worry about.
Yeah.
And that can always be possible, and that I think gives you that steadiness in this kind of scenario.
So Matt, would you say steadiness is kind of like similar to persistence?
Is steadiness similar to persistence? Perhaps, but I think it's more about just being. I think feeling unsteady. If I go there to start with, it's not being sure of where you're at, not being sure of what's coming next, and playing out a whole series of potential difficult situations. Which is doing a typical brain thing of going, oh, but it could go like this and it could go like that, and this would be a nightmare. Which is fair enough. It's what it does. But I think when, particularly in terms of thinking about solution focus, that you can feel steady when you can see just your next step, your next best step, because that isn't something unmanageable. That isn't the whole, weight of all of this, and it could go like this and it could go like that. It's just, well, I know I could do that thing. And there's trust in yourself and there's steady footing there. I can see it. It's right in front of me, to use a step analogy.
Even hearing you say that actually makes me kind of like calm. Thank you, Matt. Wow.
Yeah. And let's notice the words that comes out when Matt tries to describe steadiness. I can take the next step. It's possible. And I can be stable. Those are the words that come out. And it's not forced. You're not forcing it. It's just what describes possibilities. And there's no point where Matt says, oh, there's no disruption. He just completely erases it. No, there's a next step. It's possible. And you said, I know this. This one thing I know, even as a lot of unknown unfolds. Yeah.
We got some comments in the chat as well. Questions. Isn't that the power to keep going regardless of circumstances? This is from Michael or from Andrea, staying calm and secure. Vinay, steadiness might show up as clarity about the process. Angela, maybe disruption makes us hang on, like holding onto a rail of rocky boat, recognizing the need for support. Jaylene, steadiness means maintaining composure and focus to adapt effectively rather than being overwhelmed by change. It involves staying true to your core purpose while being flexible in your approach. And last but not least from Wim, it's also important to be steady in acknowledging the disruption without analyzing it.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Awesome. Thank you, Rainy. Awesome. Let's move it on. And I invite you to remember that exceptions can be used. You want to be able to use exceptions to stabilize disrupted workplace moment. And exceptions can be small. They're ordinary. They're very easy to overlook. But they're always there. Maybe even 2%. Maybe 5%. But we're not looking for 50%. In that moment, it's the 2%, the 5% that are powerful, that's already happening, even as chaos is unfolding. that have always been there. Our job is to learn to notice them, whether we're focusing on. And as solution-focused practitioners, we learn and continue to grow in picking up the exceptions, the easy to ignore, the easy to miss. That's what we do. And that's the sweetness of SF practice. How do you define disruption in your context where you see it or in your experience? What comes to mind? Disruption doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be that simple, small, easy to miss. Like a sigh in the workplace, or maybe even outside the workplace, but we're focusing on the workplace today. It can just be a dead silence or a different silence. We start by noticing. And it's in the ability to notice that we can pull it out as something that's there, something that's possible. So we grow ourselves in the skill of noticing the mundane, the small. When we notice, then we can do something with it.
I guess disruption for me in the workplace in this setting, and I'm thinking about my own work, my own workplace as well here. It's when we all work on patterns, you know. We all have to follow patterns, which is why we can get locked in difficult patterns that don't necessarily serve us, but there's comfort in them, and there's parts of them that do work. Maybe loads of parts that don't work as well, but I guess it's when a pattern that has, I'm thinking here, when we've found these patterns and we've rehearsed them well enough, and they might not be perfect, but they're what we know. And so disruption, I think, in a workplace feels like when those patterns, even though they are perhaps very imperfect and they may be causing issues that we haven't even paid attention to yet, or leading to difficulties that we are aware of, but we don't know where they're coming from necessarily. That can often, you know, for me, that's what I think of in terms of workplace disruption. So not yet seeing the opportunity for change, but experiencing the disruption to the pattern that we find comfort in, and there will certainly be elements that are working for us, that are doing good things for us, you know, that are helping us in some way. So I guess it's just that, really, just thinking about the interruption to the pattern that is familiar.
I like what you said, Matt, about when people are feeling or going through a disruption, they don't see the opportunities of the situation that can be. I'm also experiencing a disruption at my workplace at the moment with my colleagues, and I noticed that the emotions are some sort of drifting sand for the rationality. So when people are emotional, you have to acknowledge, be firm in acknowledging the feelings, and then they get out of the drifting sand, and then they are able of seeing more opportunities. But it's a hell of a work, or as a solution-focused practitioner, to not go too fast into with the solution. I can't say with the solution focus head, because the head is important, but with solution focus handling or actions. That was something that came up in my mind now.
Sorry, Wim, can I just say back to you as well that I think that's so important, that you don't go, right, but let's come on. Because I think as solution focused practitioners, you know, when you're excited by the approach. And when you can see the possibility and you go, right, but guys, just let's look at it. If you don't accept the difficulty and the inherent discomfort in change, because it's hard, if you move on from that too quick, then those people the risk is they don't feel heard, and the difficulty in change is real.
So then, in a way, a solution-focused way of looking at it is disrupting the disruptions, like disrupting how we respond to disruptions, maybe. Exception as one of those rupture that we are introducing to our patterns of thinking about this disruption is what I'm actually getting from what you're conversing about.
I like the word shifting. We are disrupting it, but shifting kind of feels a little bit more gentler.
What, you don't like punctures? No?
Never did. Yeah. But yes, we are interfering with that narrow way of viewing. This is going wrong. This is all bad. This is, there is chaos. We're interfering with that. We're just disrupting it as well. But one of the words that usually come out as we talk solution focus is that slow down. Right? And Matt is like, you slow down. Yeah.
And for me, the acknowledging of what you said, Wim, and you talked about the sand. I imagine a swamp. People are in a swamp with all of those emotions and their history of disrupting situations. And I can imagine that when you acknowledge it, you like pull them on the shore and they're sitting there, wow. And then when they're out of the swamp, they have the time to look around. What do you mean with all those suggestions? But they have some steady ground under them because you have not acknowledged it. And before that, they're just trying to survive in the swamp. And you talk about a lot, but it's not coming near their brains.
Maybe a little thing that pops up in my mind. I have never witnessed Steve de Chazer, but I heard the rumor that he said with the starting of every conversation, I will not know if I will be able to help you, but you may be sure that I will do my utter best. And I think that's also something that we have to say for example, I'm a team and a network coach. That's also something I say to my colleagues. I don't have the answers yet, but I do believe that we are able in finding them. It's also something that pulls them out of the swamp sometimes.
Yeah, it's a stance, right? It's a stance that there's something. We just have to look closely enough. The crisis lens, when disruptions happen, it's like there is crisis. And the crisis mindset says everything is urgent. It's narrow. We have to be reactive. And it says everything is on fire. That's the crisis mindset. Everything is on fire. The capability mindset says there is space to breathe. Somebody found a bucket. Right? That's the two lenses. There is fire, yes, there's fire, but so we can focus on the fire. Let's run, let's all fly. But we can say, somebody found a bucket. Okay. That's the narrow opening. That's the SF mindset. It doesn't deny the presence of the fire. It just says there's resources that we can tap into. There always is. And both stands are human and they are existing. But one gives us small room to navigate and to feel like something can be done. We just have to find them. And we have to have them be open to finding them. We have to learn to find them, and this is where we grow our skills. Powerful, powerful, powerful. It's the crack that starts to open the door. And I want to invite you again to go into yourself, go on the chat or unmute yourself based on Hoine's directions. What shows up for you? When was there a small moment in your workplace where things just went a tiny bit better in the face of disruption? What's been your experience?
Supporting someone going through crisis, I often find light humor works well. Perhaps another way to look at the situation. Very right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I bet that person that you're supporting, maybe when they step into your room, they were probably thinking, I would never laugh again, right? And then in this stance, you find smiles, laughter. You find maybe just the lifting of the one side of the lip that just lifts up slightly. I got that, right? That's it. That's the exception. Absolutely. Yeah, those moments, check in. When did you experience it? When did it show up for you? If you're able to make it broader, what's the next small thing that you might attempt to broaden that space? I asked you for a reflection of when was there an experience where you had the problem was not as present? It was just less, the intensity just dropped, even if a little bit. Can we notice that? How adept are we at picking up, the intensity? This huge thing just happened, but it dropped. Can we pick up on it? And that becomes the door that we follow and start to widen. And the more that door opens, we just don't know what we might find at the other side of the door. As we slow down, as we hold on to our stance. Here is how I look at it on a light note. I look at solution-focused practice and seeking exception as hunting for treasure, the treasure hunt. And I liken this to, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're trying to find a Wi-Fi in an area of low connections? The gentle movement, the stepping aside, the close listening, the close watch of your phone or your laptop, of your device to say, where is that right connection? Think of the last time you had to hunt for a signal. And think about the energy that showed up. And the moment you find it, what happens in your body? What do you notice? So I invite you to embrace noticing, to embrace the slowing down. And I want to thank you for your presence. I'm shortening some of my slides, not going through all of them. But I want to thank you for your presence today, for your participation, for joining me and making this happen. I wish that your disruptions are brief and that your exceptions are easy to spot. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing. And I wish you all the best as we go about learning more about this.